North Korea, the most mysterious country in the world that most people are afraid to visit.
This is over us right now. I'm not sure what this means.
We were curious about this isolated country with a poor reputation from the media.
We're not allowed to film anything at all.
So we try and get as close as possible to North Korea, the DMZ.
You just never know what is going to happen.
What really happens at the world's most militarized border?
What is happening?
Are the stories we are told true?
Most militarized zone is probably the most touristy.
Is it safe? Let's find out.
Good morning from a very quiet street here in Seoul. It's just before 7 a.m. and the sun is starting to come up. We're about to get on a bus and take about an hour's trip to the DMZ, which is the demilitarized zone which separates North and South Korea. I'm really excited, I'm nervous, I'm apprehensive, and I'm unsure of exactly what we're going to see today.
I'm keeping an open mind on what I think I'm going to see and what I'm going to learn, because to be honest, we don't really know a lot about what happened, especially about the Korean War. So I'm very curious to know more about the history and just have like a learning experience and take you with us.
As you can see, many people are getting up and on their way to work. There's a bit of traffic early this morning.
So first things first is we need to go and find our guide, because the only way you can actually go to the border or close enough to the border is with a guide. I don't think you can go by yourself as far as I know, because if it were up to us, we would definitely go alone. But because you can only go with a guide, we definitely wanted to just do it the right way. We'll tell you how we booked that all later on in this video.
Wow, look at this.
So cute.
As we walk. Is that drinks?
Yeah, and normally we see them just by themselves, but today a lady is driving it.
So if you didn't realize, that is a portable drinks shop, and we've seen them drive completely autonomously. But today there's a lady just sitting on the back, and yeah, you can get a drink while you walk.
That's so
And it's
cool.
so early and she's
Yeah.
already on the go. But I wanted to give you an idea of how this works, because we have to take a tour. And what's interesting for me is the southernmost city in North Korea, Kaesong, is only about 58 kilometers or 36 miles from Seoul. So it's only about an hour's drive to get to North Korea, which is mind-blowing for me.
So as we're waiting for the light to turn green, the red is actually on the floor. So when it goes green and we can cross, it'll turn green.
And most people, I guess, are looking at the floor because they're looking at their phone, and it's all along the sidewalk here. Very clever. And it's red on that side as well. And now it's green, and we cross.
So cool.
So we're gonna get on the bus now, find our tour and our tour group, and let's head to the border.
Our first stop is the suspension bridge, which actually has nothing to do with the DMZ, but it is pretty and gorgeous. So we're taking in the good views here with the last trees that are blooming. Looks like autumn. It's very beautiful. So on to the DMZ.
And after about an hour's drive on the bus, we have arrived just outside the DMZ, and I'm going to explain exactly what the DMZ means, how the militarized zone works, and all of that in a minute.
From this point on towards the DMZ, you cannot enter without a guide. I'm just coming up to the map here to just show you what it kind of looks like. Basically, this little red line here is the actual border of North Korea, which we're going to get pretty close to in a moment's time.
But I wanted to show you, as you can see, how many tour buses there are all around. It just shows how popular it is to come to the DMZ. We're now at a bit of a viewing deck, and you can see how many buses there are. But in here is convenience stores, a little supermarket, and a restaurant.
And just beyond this building is the border.
But on this side is an amusement park. So you can see there's all different rides. It's not currently open at the moment.
And there's a cable car, there's a bridge, there's a boat that you can go on. There's lots of tourist activities in probably the most dangerous border in the entire world.
I'm starting to get a feel of what it's like here at the DMZ, where even though we're at this technically very dangerous, still at war zone, It's very relaxed, it's very open, very calm.
The most militarized zone is probably the most touristy, which is very interesting.
We were just saying how it's practically impossible to visit the DMZ without a guided tour. In fact, it would be such a mission to venture all the way there by yourself just to get turned away because you're not on a tour. So you're probably wondering, how do I book this tour? So we wanted to thank Klook for sponsoring this video and making trips like this so easy and simplified. Klook is an experience booking platform with thousands of destinations around the world. We simply typed DMZ into the Klook app, searched for this tour, and it came up with a ton of great reviews, plus over 100,000 people have booked this tour previously. This tour was simplified and our guide Neil was fantastic and shared so much information with us that we would have never received had we gone alone. Klook also offers regular discounts and promotions, plus you can browse all travel experiences under one roof. Klook also speaks your language and your currency. So when you're planning your next trip, use our code ShevanDevKlook to get an exclusive discount. Click the link or download the Klook app to get started.
I've just found this map and I wanted to give you an idea of exactly what the DMZ is, because it is a little bit confusing. So if you look here, there is this red dotted line, and that's technically the border between South Korea, and then this side would be North Korea. And the DMZ is a zone which is 2 kilometers south and 2 kilometers north. That 4-kilometer buffer zone is the most militarized zone on the planet. In 1953, there was a ceasefire, so technically the war is still ongoing. So we're currently here and we're in this park, but we're going to be traveling as close as we can to the border. But technically, we're not going to go into North Korea because it's completely illegal. And if you do, this is what our guide keeps telling us.
She doesn't say any words.
She doesn't say anything, but you get the idea. But hopefully that gives you an idea of what it's like between North and South Korea right now.
You're such a good tour guide. What should
Oh,
we
yes.
tell you? Please, if you want to book this tour, just ask for Neil. He's got black hair.
Hi,
He's
I'm
always
Neil.
wearing a Nims dye hoodie.
The reason I'm wearing this is everyone on our tour has got this, just so we can recognize who's in our tour group. This is not my name.
This is Neil.
I'm Neil. So where I'm standing right now, technically over that mountain is North Korea. And it seems crazy that there are just average civilians and tourists roaming around, but yet you have the most militarized zone on the planet, and I can see there are 5 helicopters flying over right now, and everybody is just relaxing, enjoying their tour. It's a strange feeling. Oh my God, what's happening? This is over us right now. I'm not sure what this means.
What is happening? You just never know what is going to happen at any point, at any time. Unfortunately, the tensions are rising between North and South Korea.
In fact, our guide told us that they can cancel or change our tour at any moment, so we must be ready because they might have to just take us to a completely different area if tensions rise.
But anything could happen, like that moment. So we're actually seeing so many monuments of the separation of North and South Korea. And I think so many people have come here to be as close as possible to North Korea. I think at the end of the Korean War, there must have been hundreds and thousands of people who had their families separated. And it's very harsh and cruel to think that they may never ever see their family members again.
So over here they actually have one of the railroad train tracks that used to go all the way through into North Korea, but apparently on the North Korean side they've actually blown that up, so you're unable to take the train.
This steam locomotive behind me was actually a huge part of the Korean War. It was bombed and derailed, and now it's just left here as a tourist attraction.
And I think they used to transport goods and different things from South to North Korea and give supplies, but there was a moment, I'm not sure when, where North Korea decided no more.
That railroad connected all the way through Russia, all the way you could get to London and Paris through that bridge. And North Korea recently blew up that bridge, which kind of signifies no signs yet of reunification. Apparently, they blew up that bridge to signify an anger to South Korea because they thought that South Korea was flying drones over North Korea, which we don't know if that's true or not. If you're from South Korea and you're watching this video, what is your thought on reunification? Do you want to be one country, or what are your thoughts? We obviously don't know a lot and we want to learn from you as well.
Being here, there's definitely an eerie feeling. I can see most of the people are really quiet. You can feel in the air that a lot has happened in this area. But just above here, you can see all of this barbed wire fence, which gives you an idea of what it's like to be here. But there's also all of these ribbons, I assume for people that have passed, or maybe for North Koreans and South Koreans that have been split up. So we have this kind of feeling with barbed wire fences and ribbons, a lot of tension, you can feel it in the air. But then we have a souvenir shop right next to it. So you can get some army looking bags. This has the South Korean flag on, some hats. You can even get some fridge magnets. This is a key ring in the shape of a bullet. Very interesting. Here are some mini grenades. I think you can get the vibe here. Here's some figurines, some South Korean keychains. So interesting. And here's a bottle opener with some like old Korean money on.
It feels kind of crazy that there's such a deep, dark history, but you could buy souvenirs and merchandise. In my hand, I am holding North Korean money, which I could just purchase from the souvenir shop. This is what it looks like. And in the souvenir shop, they have old money and they have new money. So this is the new money, which I could still use if I ever go to North Korea. It actually feels kind of strange to be holding this in my hand, because I thought you weren't allowed to like take pictures of the money, but I guess I was wrong. So here it is. If you don't want to buy it yourself, just watch this video.
The reason why there's new and old money is apparently people were hoarding and keeping their money in their house and saving it. But because of that, the money wasn't going towards the government. So they changed the money. So all the people that were keeping their money in their house weren't able to use it anymore. And they had to exchange it at the bank. But when they exchanged it, they lost a huge amount of that value. Apparently, if you had about $1,000 worth and you exchanged it, you would only end up with $100. So behind me, along the fence, there's obviously a lot of barbed wire, and I think there's 2 or 3 fences right next to each other and a guardhouse. But there are big signs that say no pictures, no videos, so I'm unable to show you that.
If you see any soldiers inside the guard post, be careful not to take photo of them. That's the South Korean rear guard post.
But there's also a sign that says if you do take a picture, a video, or if you disrupt the fence in any way, you can be in prison for up to 3 years, or you have to pay a fine of 30 million won, which really shows the seriousness of obeying the rules, especially in this area.
On the other side of the river, do you see the red triangle? Yeah, that is landmine sign. So we are in front of the landmine field.
I've also just seen this signpost, which mostly has UN countries. I think that's why it's here. But over here it says Republic of South Africa. And if you didn't know, that's where Chev and I are from. So our house is 12,500 kilometers away from here.
So right now we are in the demilitarized zone. We are literally a hop and a skip away from North Korea.
And this is the 3rd tunnel. So apparently there are a few tunnels that North Korea has dug underground to kind of infiltrate into South Korea. And this is a map of the one that we're about to go inside now and go underground to get 170 meters away from North Korea.
It was actually a North Korean defector that discovered this tunnel, and he told South Korea about it.
This is how it's going to work. We're going to walk all the way down here. There's about a 358 meter walkway, and then we can walk all the way along. And then here, this is North Korea side, and this is where they dug through. The lady told us that there are 3 barricades that South Korea has built to block the North Koreans coming through again. The first blockade is 5 meters thick, then 1 meter, then 1 meter.
And these are actually dynamite holes over here, which they discovered while they were digging this hole.
We're going to be able to go all the way in and look through a small little hole, and we can see those barricades that South Korea has built. But we're not allowed to take our phone, camera, bag, anything, so we're not going to be able to show you. And we have to wear these yellow hats when we go in, because The tunnel is really short, so we're going to have to duck so we don't hit our head. This is as far as I can go. Here is the tunnel entrance. You can see all of the yellow hats that people are putting on. If you just look through there, you can see how steep it goes immediately down there.
It is crazy that there could be more, and they could be digging at any point to try and infiltrate South Korea or vice versa.
In fact, our guide said to us that I'm so glad they didn't find a tunnel today, because they might. And if they found a tunnel, our tour would be cancelled. So she says little things like that, which shows the current tension that's still happening. So here at the third tunnel, that's where we just went in, they even have a full tank on display that I assume was used during the Korean War. Well, it definitely looks like it's been used. It's all rusted on the sides here. And it's really scary to see that. It really puts it in perspective. And there's a sign inside that said there were 6 million casualties during the Korean War. I mean, 6 million people is more than some entire country's population.
You could be a good soldier.
I could join. This is the I went to the DMZ picture. So right by the tunnel is a souvenir shop, and I wanted to point out some of the interesting things you can get. A fridge magnet, which is a landmine sign. And you can get a fridge magnet, which shows the border between North and South Korea. So I assume the S is for Seoul and P is for Pyongyang, which is the capital of North Korea. Oh yes, the distance between Seoul and Pyongyang. And if you want, you can get a DMZ t-shirt, which has, I assume, North and South Korean soldiers on. One of the most fascinating souvenir shops I've ever been to. Look, you can get a DMZ cap, more fridge magnets. But this one is still the most interesting. You can get a little bag, but it's in the shape of a grenade. Here we can get some keychains with bullets on, and these have some sort of gun. I'm not sure what this is, a machine gun or a rifle of sorts. Super fascinating. Let me know if you're someone who would get one of these souvenirs. We've just seen on the ground, they've built a line as an example, what it's like of the DMZ between South Korea and North Korea. So you could technically feel like you're crossing into North Korea, and the line is across the 38th parallel on the latitude line. Hopefully one day they join. This is what you mustn't do. Not allowed. We're trying to find a way to relate what's happened here to us. And in our country, we had apartheid. And if you don't know what that is, in South Africa, we had a similar separation.
It was the legal separation of white people and everybody else of color. So that means black people, Indian people, and another ethnic group, which were Cape Malays, called Coloureds.
And 30 years ago is when South Korea became independent, and 30 years ago is when South Africa became independent.
We were very lucky that we were actually born after 1994. Well, Devon was born in 1994, I was born in 1996, so we are considered born free, which means we were free of the apartheid era.
During that apartheid time, Chev and I would not be allowed to be together.
Yeah,
we
it
would
was
be
law.
separated. It was law.
But our parents and our grandparents also had to go through and experience the apartheid era.
Similar to what's happening in North and South Korea, where people are separated from their families. So in some way, we can understand what's happening.
It's so amazing to live in the country being born free and being independent, being so diverse. And if you've seen the color of our South African flag, it's like a rainbow. So we're called the Rainbow Nation. Now to see what's happening between North and South Korea, we are always wondering if there will be any reunification, because I guess we just want to live in a world with peace. So we're now at the Dora Observatory, where we could actually look into North Korea and see the tallest flagpole in the world, which is North Korea's flagpole. I think it's about 120 kilograms, which is insane. So this is the building that we were in now, and on that side you can look into North Korea. So it's all glass, but obviously on this side you can't. Previously, when we came to the DMZ back in 2022, we were actually allowed to be outside and look through binoculars into North Korea. We could see their propaganda village, we could see their flagpole.
This entire mountain range is North Korea, and then you can see behind that's the fake village or the propaganda village that they made.
As I look out into the river and the propaganda village where nobody lives, it's kind of like an eerie feeling actually.
This is one of the most secretive and hidden countries in the entire world. There's so little information about North Korea, and for us to be standing here and observing it.
Now we are not allowed to do that. We're not even allowed to go outside. We can only see North Korea and take a picture with our eyes, not our phones. We're not allowed to film anything at all. And that's really interesting that we are no longer allowed to do that.
Also, there's this massive souvenir shop. We're still in the DMZ. Look at all these things. This is some DMZ rice that you can buy here in one of the souvenir stores. 20 kilograms. That is so interesting. And I assume that they cultivate this rice here in the DMZ. And you can buy so much of it. You can even buy DMZ military chocolate. This one is in the shape of a grenade. This has got DMZ bullets on it. It actually says DMZ engraved on the chocolate. Don't see that every day. As we said, there's a 4-kilometer buffer zone, but in that buffer zone, there are plantations, rice fields, and that's why they can produce a lot of the things that they're selling here. We've just seen here, this is barbed wire from the fence in the DMZ that you can buy for 25,000 won. Imagine going home with some barbed wire. Oh, it's so heavy. The wire fence from DMZ, that has got to be one of the most interesting souvenirs you can take home. It's so heavy, it's gonna weigh your bag down. And now we have made it back to Seoul, so that ends our tour for today. It was very interesting, eye-opening, enlightening, and a little bit confusing between what's actually happening, what's happened in the past, and that it's still very dangerous, but yet we were completely safe and it was a tourist attraction. If you haven't already, go and see our previous videos that we've made here in South Korea, and we'll see you in the next one.